Welcome to We Fixed Real Estate. Fred, how's it going today?
Just great. Just isn't this beautiful behind me? It's Costa Rica, by the way.
In a couple
Beautiful.
days, yeah. I wish I was in Costa Rica right now.
There you
Um,
go.
Kind of cold and windy here in San Diego.
LA
Renee,
too.
if you're calling in, Renee, are you gold mining yet, or are you calling in from San Francisco?
No, I'm actually in San Francisco. It's not a fake background here. Um,
Well, it is, but it isn't.
Yeah, exactly. But eventually all these backgrounds will be like video backgrounds and they'll move and
Oh yeah, you can upload a video background. I saw that.
sure you can, but like right
It's
now,
annoying.
yeah,
It's annoying. We're here to give you the information as opposed to let you see what's going on in the background.
You don't want to see what's behind the curtain. So Renee, last week you were here. Fred shared that you are going to become a budding Turkish novel and start mining for gold.
yeah. So I'm actually going to Colombia, not the country, unfortunately, but a place near Sonora. So it's
Wow. I thought you were going to Medellin to plan for gold. I'm like, that's
I know. Yeah, no, that'd be fun. No. So it's like an hour and a half from Stockton, I think.
fun.
More. So yeah, when I used to live in Sacramento, me and some friends used to go pan for gold in Auburn,
Mhm.
about an hour north of Sacramento. And
Do you
it's not a
get
lot.
dressed up? Do you get dressed up like it's 1849 or?
No, I mean, that makes you wish you were in California in that era, right? Just going everywhere, collecting property and real estate and just finding nuggets of gold everywhere in every little corner.
Yeah, there wouldn't be any bidding
Yep.
situations, school district problems, and the
I
good
would-
old days.
I would have 10 acres in Los Altos.
Oh yeah. So
Mhm.
I'm actually passing through Auburn in mid-May.
Mhm.
But so tell me, how do you go? So you go about this, and what's your expectations of finding this gold?
Oh, I mean, your expectations should be like you disconnect, no internet, you like have a bucket that you can fill with sand and also a backpack that you can fill with sandwiches. And you're just there to spend a good time.
Mhm.
Now you're collecting sand and dirt from like under the crevices of between the rocks and sand from like the river floor,
Oh.
right? So you're collecting that sand. We have these magnets where you can, actually clean up the dirt, get the magnetic sand off of it because it's the heaviest material. But you're not going to collect a lot. I mean, I've collected maybe 10, $20 worth of gold. Like if you took it to
Enough to make a ring, or
one of our friends who was actually my old housemate, he's a geologist. He does have enough to build a ring. So eventually, when he finds a wifey, he'll give her that ring.
oh, that's
So-
sweet. That's
That's
nice.
awesome.
I mind this for you.
I watch
I mean,
the
it
love
takes-
videos all the
it takes-
time.
Yeah, it takes a lot of gold panning to you would collect that much, but
Well, maybe with the spring runoff and the big runoff last year, there might be some new deposits unearthed.
yeah, it could be. I mean, you won't be collecting big nuggets, right? But if you go and you spend a full 4 hours, you definitely will collect some gold.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, here people mine for gold in real estate, and this is a real estate show.
Yes.
Talk about real estate.
Yeah.
Talk about Washington.
Okay, we had a situation in Washington today that this is a warning for people who are buyers. In the contract, there are specificities about the inspections and how you can give the entire inspection report to a seller, just portions of what you're arguing about, or they don't want to see anything. It is a specific form. It's a little check mark, or it should be initialed if it's crossed out. But we abided by that for a deal that we have. But here's the problem. The inspector, who my buyer said, I'm going to use this inspector because he's local. I'm a friend of mine used him and blah, 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 blah. He sent the inspection report, the entire inspection report, to the listing agent. And guess what? That voided my ability to negotiate anything with the seller. The inspection clause was over and done. So our people were looking for close to $100,000 in this property that was 30 years old and had tons of problems, maybe 40 years old. this inspector is going to get sued
Oh my Lord.
for a lot. So just as a reminder, no matter what inspector you choose, tell them, remind them, do not send the inspection report to the listing agent. This is in the state of Washington. California, different story. There's nothing about that in the contracts, but it's kind of stupid because sellers need to know if there's problems in a property and they need to disclose it to a future buyer if this buyer doesn't go through. This is a way of protecting the seller. Oh, I didn't know because I didn't get that inspection. I think it's bogus and it's not good for the consumer. But it happened. And
Understanding why you lost your contract, your negotiation ability. Because
it said it specifically in the contract, do not send us the full report. So that voids the fact they send the report, that voids the inspection contingency. Hey, I'm still pushing and negotiating, and I'm probably going to get a few bucks out of them because, it was a third party. I was unaware of the contract. We can make that argument, but it could go on for years. And, we file what's called a list pendants against the property and the seller can't sell it. And then the listing agent knows this. So there's a little give and take, but still don't put yourself in that position.
Definitely not. And if you're an inspector, make sure you have your insurance up to snuff.
Yeah. And a lot of it.
Well,
No.
gosh, from one craziness to another. It's been a crazy week.
Yes. Okay. You're ready for this one? Because I got to share my screen. I got to share my screen and show everybody this. We have a property listed in Venice that's listed both for rental and for sale. We get a call from an agent and leaves a message somehow and says, I want to show your property rent, but my people might want to buy it like a lease purchase. We'll call it a lease purchase for easiness. In the multiple listing service, we listed 0 commission for the rental.
Mm-hmm.
And we listed 2% for the sale. And the seller's kind of even handling the rental stuff. I just did it as an accommodation to put it in the MLS. So here's what we get today. When asked, is the rental commission negotiable? I said, hi, this is correct. There's no commission for the rental, but if they buy, the seller will pay 2% at the completion of the sale. Her response was, okay, thank you. I most likely won't bring them then. If commission can be negotiated, please let me know. That are qualified people who are willing to pay 6 months up front. And that gives me a ding, ding, ding in my head that people want to pay 6 months up front. Why? Are they drug dealers? They got to bury the cash. And I said, please let your client know that since you are not getting a commission, you are not willing to show them the house. It's like, huh? What?
I mean, the qualifications of the clients are not. I think that's not really relevant.
Of course.
I think the biggest issue at hand here is the fact that it's why these lawsuits exist. This right here is just right now saying that she's not willing to ask her buyers to pay her, and that is absurd. I think everybody should be able to tell their clients, hey, like you're gonna have to pay me because this is what I'm worth. And all these agents always try to scream and say that they are worth a lot of money. So example, exhibit A, if you're worth a lot of money, why don't you ask your clients to pay for the commissions versus saying, I'm not going to show a property? This is a clear example of how the commission lawsuits, should be,
This is why.
Yeah. I mean,
It's like, you wanted evidence? Here's evidence. She puts it in writing too.
On a rental? Is that
a rental? There's some people who pay it, but it's like, it's not a big deal. Like the landlord we would do the rental contract because they don't know anything about the details of the contract. She's not doing anything. Oh, I'm going to show them a house. Well, guess what? I'm having an open house this weekend. And, if these people had any brains, they would just show up for the open house and without her. They don't need her.
I mean, typically for rentals, it's, the usual thing is the listing agent for the lease does get paid a commission to put in the MLS. That's what usually happens. And then there is sometimes a fee of maybe $500 or $1,000 that is accommodating for the agent that comes and brings a
Right. A
client.
few bucks. And thank you for bringing them. But, everybody's looking on the MLS. They didn't need her to find this property. It's not like it's not on the MLS. And finding an apartment, it's a pain in the ass. You got to look in 15 different places between Zillow, apartments.com, this.com. There's no cohesive way to find an apartment. It's crazy. But really, lady, she should say to them, look, give me a partial commission now. And when it sells, I'll rebate back, when I get the 2% or whatever to cover it. It's just greed and stupidity put together. It's just amazing.
So it makes you wonder why you still need a buyer's agent. Why can't you just be your own buyer agent?
I'll tell you why. That's a very good question. Here's the problem. So you see $1 million house, you walk in an open house and, I'll just write up the contract myself. Well, where are you going to get the contract from? You're not a licensed agent. You don't have access to the California Association of Realtors forms. And you can't just get a lawyer to just write up a regular contract. The listing agent can't change that, can't negotiate that because it's not on the approved form. They can't be lawyers. So you have to have the forms. So, and this is just about in every state. Texas, you can download the forms, and maybe try it that way, but you still have to know all kinds of different stuff. Do you know how many days it's going to take that you should put in for the deposit after the escrows is started? Do you know how many days your lender's going to take and what's going to be acceptable? Did you talk to the listing agent and all the other agents who have sold properties in the area to know what to bid? Do you have a fully underwritten pre-approved mortgage? There's a million things that you need to know, and that a buyer broker has an expertise to. But don't pay them 2.5% of the sale price. That's insane. And our quick advertisement of $97.50 is the buyer broker fee, and it's a very sharp price. And you're getting extremely full service from 2 brokers. We don't pawn you off to some agent that just got their license. We operate on Slack. We know what we're doing. So to pat ourselves on the back. I was in a listing appointment the other day and I went through everything we do. And they're saying that sellers are saying like, well, I don't have any more questions. And that's a problem because it all makes too much sense. I'm sorry. That's what it does. It makes too much sense. That's crazy.
So we can have for sale by owner, but you can't have for purchase by buyer.
Well, I think for sale by owner is also a mistake, right? Unless you're an experienced owner that sells a lot of property, right? Which by then you're a de facto, real estate agent and broker, right? So the whole premise is that when an agent sees that you're not experienced, they will, take advantage of you. They will lie to you. We're dealing with the property right now in Sacramento, right? We submit an offer about 30K to your list, right?
It's sitting on the market, 45 days? I'm sure
and it's in the market like 3-4 weeks, which it's not a long time, right? It's not there 4 months. So sure, it's fine. But we submit an offer, and this is the tale of always of you submit an offer and then all of a sudden a magical second offer appears, right? So if a buyer directly goes into with that listing agent, they will be lied to and say, oh, well, we have another offer. And it's more likely that a buyer will just not know better and just pay more just because they didn't know, they didn't have a representation of their own. Now on the listing side, we would have been able to tell, like, if they had a better agent, we would have done the inspections ahead of time. We would have known what to fix, and we would have been transparent about what the market conditions would be, right? If there's a house next to you that's at 750, you can't expect 850. And if you're selling, if you're doing it for sale by owner, if you list at 850, just because you want 850, a good agent will tell you it's not going to sell at 850 because the house next door is at 750. And that's what happens with a lot of for sale by owners. The reality is that a lot of for sale by owners eventually get an agent that just, lies to them and tell them that they can get a huge price, and they still, end up getting an agent even though they started as for sale by owner. So it's not really about, whether you're selling or buying. It's just having good representation of what matters.
So let's see. I got a random note from Slack. CFPB. I have no idea what that means.
Very simple. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Let's mosey on back to 2010, right after the collapse of everything because of the option arms, I called them the wimpy loans. I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. These 1% ridiculous pay rates. It was just, I can't believe that Alan Greenspan and Ben Bernanke didn't see how awful these products were and banned them. That's who I blame for all of 2008, by the way. Anyway, so what happened was loan officers got licensed federally if you will work for a mortgage brokerage or a mortgage banking operation. You have to, and René and I have both done this. We've taken a test. There's 8 hours of education. We got continuing ed every year. We got fingerprinted, background check, the whole 9 yards. And by the way, bank employees don't need to do this because the banks allegedly take care of it on their own, but they don't do the testing and the training. But don't get me started. But anyway, the idea was, hey, we got to get this all under control. So we want to watchdog, even though each state has its own licensing minutia. The basic thing is a mortgage is a mortgage is a mortgage. And you learn about everything. So my solution to this problem with real estate agents is a national part of the CFPB to do exactly what they did with loan officers that they do with real estate agents. Take tests, do continuing ed that makes sense, initial tests that make sense. They have a national real estate test, but the CFPB needs to administrate it. Have a way for consumers to complain about agents. So here's what happens today. If you're a realtor, because I know I have a client going through this complaining about a listing agent who's screwed us royally, she has to put in something with the Department of Real Estate and then with the realtors. And whatever you do and complain to the realtors, nothing ever becomes public. Let me repeat that. If you complain to the realtors about someone, and even go through a whole situation and they slap them on the hand, you cannot release it publicly. So how is the public supposed to find out who the idiot agents are? The state, unless you commit close to murder, doesn't tell anybody. They have this thing, this guy stole $50,000. We suspended his license and took it away or something. When they take it away, they just publish an email. They don't put it on a website. They don't make it super public. But the CFPB can keep an eye on everything. Because let me tell you, I knew about all this with this NAR settlement. The Department of Justice has not chimed in yet. So all these agents who are out there coming up with some bizarre way of still getting paid, and they're now pushing how you should get paid more, which is also absurd. Now you just have the seller pay for closing costs, and so the buyer can afford to pay the agent or some crap like that. The Justice Department is hearing all this, seeing all this, so they're just sitting back, tapping their finger and waiting. And remember, this is just one lawsuit. There's another lawsuit with it. Now the Federal Trade Commission's getting their little fingers into it. It ain't over till it's over, as Yogi would say. And this is all going to come down. But I think some type of federal overseeing of these agents would be a way to bitch about them and have everybody else find out about how incompetent they are would be a beautiful thing.
Yeah. But I think more tests isn't a solution. No, I mean, the thing is, it sounds nice, right? But we take these year tests that are multiple choice and you can just keep retaking them until you pass them. That doesn't show that you're a good agent. Tests don't show that you're a good agent.
Oh yeah. The continuing ed is bullshit. 1 year I had a continuing ed class in Pennsylvania, gave me 3 credits for feng shui. Nice to learn it.
Yeah.
Didn't make you a better agent. How about teaching us? Like, it was up to me that it would be live and you'd have to answer questions about the contract and you'd have to write a contract and show the department what addendums you had to the contract, the real things, how you would negotiate a situation.
Same thing with law. You don't, just because you passed the bar doesn't mean you're any good at being an attorney or could try a court case. It means you passed the bare minimum.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure the bar exam is much harder than
Yeah.
most of them. I would hope. But I think it's just, my concern is on, a test to show that you're a good agent isn't effective. I think maybe more auditing. I think maybe there should be someone on the other side just calling agents and asking questions that are clear violation of fair housing laws, and asking if the agent responds.
There are people, there are testers. Absolutely. They're out there.
Okay.
Oh yeah. HUD has testers. The state allegedly has testers, especially for rentals more than sales.
Well,
but
who's this agent? Is there a federal oversight board that I'm not, where you're saying you should have a federal, something like FINRA with financial advisors?
Yeah. But the CFPB is already set up with mortgages. It's in the real estate business. It would be the best place to put it. It's already an agency that exists. You don't have to recreate one. NAR would go out of its mind and fight it tooth and nail. And that just tells you they need to stand up for people who aren't good.
Yeah.
That's simple.
I mean, it should be an easier way to complain. I mean, there's, if I want to complain about any real estate agent or anything, it's a pain. And I'm licensed, right? And I know where to look for and everything. It's just really hard. There's like 10 steps and it should not.
Right. You got to, it takes 3 hours to fill out the forms. Most people just don't even bother.
And just giving a 1-star Zillow review won't quite do it.
Well, that helps. Believe me. Hey, if there's a listing agent out there that screwed you, you can go to their Zillow and Google pages and put a 1-star review. It's not limited to, because you dealt with them. Maybe it's your buyer broker. We've told our people that. Go, we know this quack was a quack and she lied to us and this, that, and the other thing. Go review her. People need to know.
Mm-hmm. Reputation management. But I do see federal oversight being, not that we want more regulation, but we do need some oversight.
Yes, we do.
Man, that was kind of a podcast killer. What other interesting stuff's going on this week?
Well, all this, just the NAR stuff. It's just, I don't know. Nah, it's not even worth talking about.
When do you so the Justice Department's just kind of standing back, watching how everything's settled. How long do you think this is going to take? Are we going to be having a podcast next November or December and still talking about?
Oh, allegedly, this stuff was supposed to go into effect July 1st or 90 days after the approval by the court or something like that. There's a lot of details. I've heard a couple of different things. I don't want to say because I'm not 100% sure, but it's just for the one NAR case. And what if you're not a member of NAR like us? What if you're slime balls who aren't NAR members? You can still do all kinds of slimy things. Not get, like in California, there's no requirement that you sign a buyer broker contract. We absolutely require it because it's just better. Everybody knows what everybody's paying, and our insurance company requires us to do so. State of Washington, though, you have to sign the buyer broker contract. And Pennsylvania, you have to have this other form before you discuss details of real estate that must be given to a buyer about who represents who. And it's kind of a little bit off the track. And they have a buyer broker agreement, but it's terrible. And I refuse to use it because it locks people in. It's exclusive. Texas, we rewrote the Texas buyer broker agreement, which was exclusive only, which is terrible. So every state's going to have something eventually. My friend Wendy from TikTok she's fostering a thing to go forward where she's trying to get buyer broker agreements written for every single state, which should be awesome. And I told her I'm happy to help.
Well, we need to have her as a guest on the podcast.
I'm trying. I already asked her. Shit. We'll get her at some point.
Keep pushing that.
Yep.
So it's been a couple weeks since we've talked about market sentiment. We're recording this right now. First week in April, first part of a new quarter, first week of the month.
4424.
Or 424.
Yeah. I mean, some markets are getting a lot of inventory. Like if you look at Sacramento, right? Like if you're in the Bay Area and you can't find something, there's a lot of stuff in Sacramento, right? I mean, of course, it's all about location. People want to be in the Bay, they don't want to be in Sacramento, but don't dismiss other markets, right? There's not a lot of bidding wars in those areas. And if you do have to go above list, you're going 50, 60K, not 300K. If you're looking at markets like Danville, I mean, there's people that, are just waiting and seeing for one house to pop up in the area that you're looking for. So there's not a lot of inventory coming out in some markets. And that's the problem.
But if you're in San Francisco, in Sacramento, good news for the next 3 years, 25, 26, and 27, you're going to be able to have Major League Baseball.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you guys heard about that, but
but
the A's are going to relocate there for 3 years, and they're going to be called the Oakland A's of Sacramento, like the Anaheim Ducks of Los Angeles, or the Los Angeles Ducks of Anaheim, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, whatever that was called.
Huh.
That'll be interesting.
Why? Because they're building a new stadium in Oakland? Or
No, Oakland won't pay for it, and they are actually approved to move to Vegas, but they're trying to buy some land there, and there's all kinds of problems. This owner's, he's a business guy, and he's trying to make deals, and so but that Oakland Coliseum, I mean, I'm sure prisons are nicer than the Coliseum. I mean, it's dilapidated. It's just awful. And I was there, maybe 6 or 7 years ago since I've been there. Can only get worse. So
Where in Sacramento is the stadium? Are they using
I forget the name of the stadium. It's some corporate names. It seats like 10,000 people. It's where the San Francisco Giants minor league team plays now.
Oh.
So Google it, kids, if you're looking now.
That'll be a good test run for Sacramento. Kind of
There you
see
go.
it.
Support may like it so much and support it and move it from Vegas to Sac.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the 100-year benchmark of climate change, in 50, 100 years, Sacramento should be near the coast. So
Lakefront.
it's a good investment.
Hey, buy it up now for $800,000 for a nice single family, be worth $3 million soon. Your kids will have it.
I do like downtown Sacramento.
No,
It's cute.
Not the old downtown.
Yeah,
The newer downtown.
They
The
got
old
some
downtown's nice.
they got some
quaint.
great bike paths up there too. Yeah, it's nice. Anyway, but
Cool.
58 degrees here, so it's not a biking day.
No, it's
Your
cold here
bikes.
too. I just started. Well, so I've been out of the water for the last 5 months. I broke my hand. I picked this week to get back in the water for the first time. The water just dropped from 63 to 57, and the weather just turned cold. I always pick the worst time to.
You got a number 5 wetsuit
I got a 4.3, but it's
or 3. Okay.
still pretty. It's pretty chill. It's been pretty chilly this week. And for other surfing fans, this is real estate news. Kelly Slater is selling his house on the North Shore. If you've got $20 million, maybe a house for you.
Nice.
Problem. So where are we surfing?
Oh, I was out at Oceanside, just
Okay.
straight down from my house.
Any good?
No, it was horrible. I always pick the worst
Yeah.
week to start again. You really have to evaluate why you're back out there. If it was good, it'd be too easy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they got all the surf reports and the whole oceanography thing. I mean, you really got to know ocean changes and winds and weather to be a good surfer. Really.
Yes.
It's
Spring
what it
is not
is.
the time to learn, but it's nice to be
in-
back out there. Oh, and
In Costa Rica, it's got nice rows and they're all the same size and it's all steady and they're long and it's just a pleasure.
yeah.
There's not big giant waves, but just enough to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, we're looking at Malpais right now behind you.
Malpais, which is near Santa Teresa, which is You got to basically take a plane and then another plane and then get driven about 20 minutes to get to there. So it's a schlep, as they would say, but worth it when you get there.
Oh, absolutely. I got to go back. It's been about 8 years or 4 years, 4 years since I've been
There you go.
So-
All right. We can
Well,
end
let's see.
that.
That was my last word. Kelly Slater selling his house. What do you got, Fred?
I got nothing else. I've been yakking all the whole time.
What about you, Renee? Give us a
Right.
parting thought.
For me, a big reminder, yesterday, the California Fear for All Shared Appreciation Loan opened up. So it is going to be open until April 29th. So if you are a first generation, first time home buyer, make sure to apply and get a fully underwritten pre-approval through there. The websites are all over and there's a bunch of education requirements that you need to do. So
That's
that's-
good.
my last thing.
Yeah, well, be sure to get that out on social and make sure that people know about it. It's a great opportunity.
There you go.
Okay, everyone. This has been another episode of We Fixed Real Estate and signing off.